Hello, hello, and good morning. I'm going to take you to my website and give you some dark flame earth updates. You can do this yourself. It's really easy. Just click on the spaceship. It'll take you to the portal. And I've recently redone the portal in white. I think the update looks a little bit cleaner, a little bit more professional. So go over here to education, which is a fancy way of saying science. It opens up this Star Trek type panel here where I've put some of the most useful links that I use every day. And you can come up here and you can click on earthquakes. So this map here shows you the last 36 earthquakes in view. And so you can zoom out, see the whole world. And I'm just going to briefly talk about some of these quakes. There's been a whole bunch of aftershocks after the magnitude 8.3 quake that hit Chile last about 10 days ago now, on the 16th. Yeah, 10 days ago. And today there was a 6.2, which is a fairly sizable quake. So there have been at least a dozen Mag 6 plus earthquakes that have hit Chile in the last 10 days. But there have been hundreds of aftershocks in the 4.5 to 5 range, and they are ongoing. So if you zoom in here, you can see there's a 6, but there's also a bunch of other smaller ones. So here's a 4.9, there's a 4.6, a 4.5, a 5.1, and even up here in Peru, there have been quakes. Now, maybe 3 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, up here near Puerto Rico, there was a huge swarm, over 40 all at once. And that kind of represents movement in these plates here. There was some large ones down here, and it looks like there's a 4.9 today. Oklahoma has been quaking nonstop for 3 years with greater and greater intensity, and so there's a 3.0. I believe one of the ones recently there actually, I don't know, like broke some windows or some people felt it. Yeah, you see these 2 quakes here on either side of this fault, on the north side of both of this. I mean, undeniably, there has been some shaking going on. Up here in Canada, it doesn't show on this, but the last couple days, there have been some large quakes off the coast. And if an 8.3 hit Chile and hundreds of aftershocks in this vicinity, then Vancouver and Seattle would definitely feel it. Fortunately, the quakes that have been off in this area here in they're like underwater caverns, like the ridges, these plates moving against each other. I mean, this stuff is so big, we can only really imagine it to try to visualize it, but we have these lines so you can kind of see where their boundaries are. But there's been movement in Alaska ever since the Chilean earthquake started 10 days ago. And so these tiny earthquakes I still kind of pay attention to. There's also volcanoes up here that we can watch for. And of course, this isn't just let's go back here for a moment. You can open up Worldview, and Worldview has daily imagery. Let's go back to yesterday. So it's cold up there right now. Let's go back to August, June, and no clear skies. Just beautiful, though. And to be able to see these formations from above, and we can even time step it. Nope, gone. Just a momentary, and that's kind of what I find so fascinating, is that there are these beautiful moments and these times where we can witness incredible things. Okay, let's just go over here. You know, the Earth is a huge place. Huge place. There's Salt Lake City. You can come to my website and you can open up Worldview and you can check this kind of stuff out. But let's just keep moving along with the earthquakes. Alaska is a beautiful place. Another earthquake on this plate, part of Japan, a 5.0 in Shizunai. Now, this is Mariana's Trench, where James Cameron took that sub down to the bottom of the ocean. There's been earthquakes up here. So 4.7 to 5.1 and another 4.7. Papua New Guinea, there's lots of uncontacted tribes here. You want to stay away. But there's been earthquakes here on this plate-ish area. This 4.7 on this side, and on the south side, a 4.6. So, you know, this is kind of where definitely a lot of underwater tectonic movement takes place, the creation of new land. All these islands are volcanic islands. Fiji and Vanuatu, is this? No, that's New Caledonia, 5.4, 4.6, and 5.0. And there was a big one in New Zealand here the other day. I also note the little islands along these fault lines, and you know, there'll be an earthquake and you'll zoom in and you'll find some island that only Google knows of. I mean, the world is so big, you literally could not see everything in your lifetime if you tried. You know, definitely not traveling, but I mean, you could see a lot of it, no doubt. But the world is such a huge place, and I find this just fascinating. But let's take a look out in space. Still no significant M or X flares, but we can have a look at the most recent flares. Smaller coronal mass ejections where the surface of the sun literally lifts off. A C 1.1 is bigger than a B, but the B has a different magnitude. So I don't understand all this stuff, but I love observing it, and I find it fascinating, and I learn new things every day. So I just want to be able to teach other people how to see some of this stuff. So you can see the time of when it started, 12:48, and that's logged up here, 12:51. Okay, so this one starts a little bit later. This is the event data. So it starts at 12:51, it stopped at 12:59, so it lasted for 8 minutes, and it peaked at 55. So if HelioViewer was working, we could actually go look this up. Unfortunately, HelioViewer has been down. Let me just see. Oh, and here's the radar, kind of crappy, but you know what? It's autumn. Welcome to the fall. All right, let's see if HelioViewer is going to load some data, because what time was that at again? So all you do is you punch up 12:51 on the 26th. So 26, 12:51. We'll set the thing at 1 minute and find our flare, because this says it was 24:22. Where's this? I think it might have been this area, but we can just kind of time step it forward and watch. I don't see anything, HelioViewer. I do not believe this is correct. But it looks like this is the magnetic readout of the flare. So you can see the polarity here, and that's probably why it's spitting off C flares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so it spit off 5 since it's been tomorrow or today. Yeah, today. And then 25. I'm not quite sure how this translates to mountain time, my time, but 12:51, I guess it's 2 hours ahead. So this should be the most recent image. 15. Oh, 16, yeah. So this area here. I mean, even one image has so much detail. We've never been able to see the sun like this. It's pretty impressive. Like you see these. So why do we need to build nuclear reactors on Earth when we have a perfectly usable ball of fusion in the sky above us? So the other thing that's exciting about this weekend is that we have a full moon as well as a supermoon, and it's the fourth and final blood moon in a series of 4 that we've had over the last 2 years. So it's the 26th right now. This here says that the full moon begins on the 28th. It's a total eclipse, so it'll be visible in Asia, Australia, Pacific, and the Americas with the duration of 3 hours. This is just the eclipse part. I don't think we're going to see the blood moon red part. I think that was something we just got the last time because of our hemisphere. But it says here mountain time, which is my time, on September 27th. So preumbral begins at 7:07. Total eclipse ends at 9:23. So I should probably copy that. But go check it out. This is like a once-in-a-lifetime event. The moon is an amazing thing because it affects the tides. It's very important for the Earth. But it's placed at such a distance that it almost perfectly covers the sun. And it does it a certain amount of times. And astronomers can track this stuff. And, you know, now with technology, we can see it literally. I find that fascinating. So this is kind of how it works, depending on the shadow of the Earth and the position of the moon. And when it is, you know, it's favorable when it's directly in front or directly behind. But yeah, the universe is an amazing place. Oh, look, some earthquakes up here in Greenland, 4.7. Iceland, of course, on this boundary is just a bunch of volcanoes. And there was a quake up here in Somalia a little while ago. Now there's one down here, 5.0, in the Indian Ocean. And one up here in Russia, 4.7. Somewhat unusual, but we will remember that in Tibet earlier this year, the Earth had 2 huge earthquakes, causing cities to crumble and a giant avalanche, which was caught on video and posted on YouTube. Crazy. Like, imagine being hit by an avalanche and surviving and posting that video and it being this crazy event. And then there was a bunch of aftershocks. It didn't stop. But there was 2 big ones and then a whole bunch of smaller ones. And then I think the next day there was 2 more big ones and then a whole bunch of aftershocks. And the day before that happened, there was a volcano in Chile that went off. And what's interesting about the Chile quakes that started on the 16th of September, and it's the 26th now, so 10 days. The largest volcano in Japan erupted just like a day or 2 days before. And then all these quakes. And I say all these quakes, but there's a lot of them. They don't even show them going back a week in this data. But yeah, the people of Chile are like, their earth is literally shaking. It's pretty crazy. From space, it doesn't look all that bad, I mean, nice waters, you see some algae, beautiful skies over Los Angeles. And yet there's so many people living their life, trying to get along, flying planes all over the place, driving cars all over the place. Pretty soon we'll be hyperlooping from city to city. Imagine if you could go from Los Angeles to San Francisco in a tube. Elon Musk is going to build them. And I think that it makes a lot of sense to travel between cities, between 200 and 400 miles apart, in Las Vegas to Phoenix in 20 minutes. Now, hopefully, if we have Hyperloop, we'll be able to go from city to city, country to country, travel all over the world quickly. I mean, you have to use a plane to get to some of these islands, but even our plane technology is getting better and smaller and faster. I seen a video about these aerospace technicians that are trying to build a plane engine that can turn into a space engine, a space rocket. And so there's, in this video, the CEO was talking about how at a certain temperature, they actually have to put this thing in that cools the intake from the jet engine and cools it down so that when they switch into the rocket mode, the whole thing doesn't explode. But it looks pretty cool because you'll basically be able to take off. And then once you hit a certain level in the atmosphere, it just switches into the rocket mode. And hey, let's go to the moon. Or go to moon base, Mars base. Maybe let's go to Saturn. I think a space hotel around Saturn would be pretty cool. Seeing its rings. Jupiter, maybe, but I mean, it's just a bunch of gas. The Earth is such a beautiful place. Why would we ever want to leave it? We should plant 1 trillion trees. I mean, look down here in Brazil. You can see the deforestation of the Amazon. It's pretty blatant. I mean, some of these provinces, coastlines and borders. Rhodonia, there you go. Look at this. That is clear cutting. That is the Amazon being deforested. This here is a tribe where there's only one guy left. One guy. That's just terrible. One guy left in his tribe. And then this is another area where tribes live. And you can see it from space. Miles and miles of one line. This is Fern Gully. These are our lungs. And you can see how thick the forest is. And then just trees. It's pretty wild. So before we go and start dropping bombs on Mars to terraform it, why don't we try not dropping bombs and planting trees and growing food and being a little bit more sustainable ourselves, not polluting as much, reducing our garbage, that kind of stuff. The world is an amazing place. And I'm sure this is kind of boring, but I just wanted to do a quick solar update and show you how I'll just pull up some data, check out what's going on, have a look at the sun. This is just one of the things you can do when you go to my website, Dark Flame Earth. Click on education, and it pulls up this sciencey panel. If you'd like to connect, I have a Facebook page. You can click it on the right here as well. I've updated it with the new banner here, but this is where I'll post my updates on Facebook. So if you like, and click get notifications, then you'll get my updates. So when we have stuff happen, you can keep updated on social media, but go to my website, because my website is the actual portal. And there's more on this website than just earthquakes and solar flares. If you want to watch some movies, I've got a playlist here. You can check it out. If you would like to listen to some awesome music, I have a bunch of friends who are DJs. I got all their SoundCloud pages on here, and some of my friends even have music videos. So you can click on this playlist. I got 22 videos on this playlist you can watch, and all my favorites on SoundCloud are embedded here, so you can just, hey, this looks cool. And it works on your phone too, which is really cool. So you can click on the top here to return to the portal and have a look around. Thanks for watching, and I'm going to end this broadcast now, but thanks for tuning in.